The tires screamed as the car stopped inches from the crosswalk, her heart slamming against her ribs as if it wanted to escape. For one frozen second, the world narrowed to the rain-soaked street, the flickering traffic light, and the man standing there with a child's small hand wrapped around his own. And then it happened, the kind of recognition that doesn't knock, that doesn't ask permission. It crashes in, breathless and brutal. Her fingers went numb on the steering wheel as memory surged forward, sharp and blinding. She knew that face. She knew those eyes. 10 years ago, when she was broken and bleeding on a roadside, that same man had pulled her back from the edge of death. Before this story pulls you deeper, take a moment right now. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and unseen heroes, please like this video, share it with someone who needs hope today, subscribe to the channel, and tell us in the comments where you're watching from. Your support keeps stories like this alive. Her name was Emily Carter, and until that moment, she believed her life was carefully contained within routines and controlled breaths. She had built her world on predictability after losing too much too young, after learning how fragile everything truly was. 10 years earlier, she had been 22, reckless with dreams and careless with time, driving too fast on a dark rural highway after an exhausting double shift. Rain had fallen like a curse that night, slick and merciless, and the crash came without warning. Metal folded. Glass exploded. Pain stole her breath. She remembered the taste of blood and the smell of gasoline, remembered thinking that this was how endings felt, cold, sudden, unfair. Then there had been hands, strong and shaking, dragging her away from the twisted wreck before flames could take hold. A stranger had risked everything to save her, disappearing before dawn like he had never existed at all. She never learned his name. She only carried the echo of his kindness like a quiet miracle tucked inside her chest. Life after that had been a long, uphill walk. Emily healed, but scars stayed behind, some etched into her skin, others buried deep in her bones. She worked hard, harder than anyone expected, earning her place as a physical therapist, helping others reclaim movement when their bodies betrayed them. It felt like a way of paying a debt she could never fully repay. Still, there were nights when gratitude turned into guilt, when she wondered why she had been saved while others were not. She told herself that the past was settled, that the man who saved her belonged to a chapter already closed. And yet, there he was, standing in the rain like a memory given flesh. The man's name was Daniel Brooks, though she did not know it yet. Time had carved responsibility into his features, deepened the lines around his eyes, and dusted his hair with early gray. He carried exhaustion the way good men often do, quietly, without complaint. The little girl beside him, no more than 7, leaned into his leg with the trust only children have, unaware that her father's life had once intersected with a stranger's fate in a way that reshaped everything. Daniel was a single dad, a role life had thrust upon him after loss struck his family with cruel precision. His wife had passed away from illness years earlier, leaving him to stitch together a future for two with hands that had once dreamed of more but learned to settle for enough. Emily sat in the car longer than necessary, rain tapping insistently against the windshield as her breath finally steadied. She watched as Daniel guided the child safely across the street, his posture protective, instinctive. The sight stirred something fragile inside her, something that felt like hope braided with sorrow. She pulled over once they reached the sidewalk, unsure of what she would say or do, only certain that she could not drive away again without acknowledging the debt that had lived inside her for a decade. Fate, however, does not rush. Days passed before their paths crossed again, this time inside the small community center where Emily volunteered on weekends, offering free therapy sessions to families who could not afford care. She noticed Daniel immediately, waiting patiently while his daughter attended a children's art program, his hands folded, eyes distant but alert. Recognition flickered in his gaze when he looked up at her, a slow dawning that mirrored her own. Something unspoken settled between them, heavy with memory. They did not need words to understand that the past had resurfaced for a reason. Their lives began to overlap in quiet, unremarkable ways. Emily learned of Daniel's long hours as a warehouse supervisor, the way he budgeted carefully, sacrificing comfort to keep stability intact for his daughter, Lily. She saw the strain in his shoulders, the old knee injury that flared when the weather changed, the fatigue he ignored because someone depended on him. Daniel, in turn, saw the way Emily moved with purpose, the gentleness in her work, the shadows that crossed her face when she thought no one was looking. They were two survivors orbiting the same unhealed places, drawn together by something deeper than coincidence. But life tested them, as it always does. Daniel faced the threat of layoffs at work, the kind that leave single parents staring into the abyss of uncertainty. Emily struggled with her own fear of attachment, the belief that loving too deeply invited loss. The memory of that crash returned often, whispering that everything could vanish in a single moment. They both stood at the edge of something fragile, unsure whether to step forward or retreat into the safety of solitude. Change came not as a grand gesture, but as a series of small mercies. Emily helped Daniel rehabilitate his knee, easing pain he had long accepted as permanent. Daniel reminded Emily, through his quiet perseverance, that life could be rebuilt piece by piece, even after devastation. Lily's laughter filled spaces that had once echoed with grief, softening corners of their hearts they thought were sealed shut forever. Slowly, the weight they carried alone grew lighter when shared. As seasons shifted, so did their understanding of what it meant to be saved. Emily realized that the man who had pulled her from a burning car had done more than preserve her life, he had unknowingly set her on a path toward purpose. Daniel came to understand that his act of bravery 10 years earlier was not a moment lost to time, but a thread woven into a larger tapestry of grace that now wrapped around his own family. They were not repaying debts or rewriting history. They were honoring it by choosing to move forward. Near the end of this journey, as the story settles into something tender and true, if this has touched your heart even a little, please pause and engage with this video. Like it, share it, and let us know your thoughts. Your support means more than you realize, and it helps stories of hope reach those who need them most. And before the ending arrives, please comment below and tell us what kindness has changed your life, or if you believe that small moments can alter destinies forever. The rain eventually stopped on that street where it all began, leaving the pavement clean and shining under the sun. Emily no longer flinched at sudden breaks or flashing lights. Daniel no longer carried his burdens alone. Together, they learned that some rescues echo across years, returning when the time is right, not to remind us of fear, but to show us what love, resilience, and second chances truly look like.